So if you really want to learn what cold calling is all about to get those deals, then you're at the right place at the right time, because this is Get You Moving Monday. Get you moving Monday!
I'm Ryan Kuhlman of the Broward and the MiamiDade Real Estate Investors Associations, also known as the BREIA MC, coming to you from the BREIA and MiamiDadeREIA headquarters.
So cold calling has been a sales technique that's been around forever and a day. And with telemarketers that had been sweeping the nation, cold calling kind of got killed for a little while, because everybody knew if somebody calls you and you don't know who they are, you pretty much automatically hang up on them. However, cold calling for real estate has started to come back in a big way. I've been talking to investors not only in our network, but investors in other markets around the country, and people are starting to get a lot of conversions from their cold calling. Okay, so what we're actually going to do is we're going to break down the art of cold calling into a 3-part series. So make sure that you guys are tuning in over the next 3 weeks, because each series is going to get more in-depth into the cold calls. And today we're going to talk mostly about the beginning, getting ready to make your cold calls. So the first aspect of that is now you first need to compile your calls. You need to compile your phone numbers. We're going to use several sources in order to get your phone numbers together. RIA Fax is the program that we talk about a lot on Get You Moving Mondays. If you guys are in real estate, especially if you're wholesaling or flipping properties and you're not using RIA Fax, you're missing out. RIA Fax pulls from public record. When people buy a property, they generally have within the property appraiser's site a phone number, a home phone number that they register with the property when they purchase the property. So RIA Fax will pick up that information from the public record and will have phone numbers in there. Now we find that they're good about maybe 10–15% of the time. Most of people, especially if they bought a property back in the 80s, whatever telephone number they had then is not a home phone number that they're still using today. So there are some challenges with that, but RIA Fax will still have about 10–15% of those phone numbers. Now we can also use services like TLO or other skip trace services. So TLO is a service that we've used for many years, and it's a skip trace service. Skip trace services can get very, very expensive, and in some cases you have to have special licensing. For us, we're utilizing TLO just to track down and find other home phone numbers or cell phone numbers that are associated with that property owner. So TLO is a good service. There are some other skip trace services that you can look at, some national ones, and depending upon how much they charge you per phone number is generally directly related to the quality of the service itself. TLO is a really good one. We pay about $1 per number. You shouldn't usually ever have to pay more than $1 per number. So if you're using a service that's 10 cents a number, just be prepared that a lot of those phone numbers might not be good phone numbers. But again, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, if you're paying 10 cents for that phone number and that's a real phone number that you can use and that's a lead, that's a 10 cents per lead cost, which is not too bad. Okay, so now you have to start really putting your game plan together. You want to decide what types of properties you're going to make calls on, because you don't want to be doing randomly like a probate property and then I'm going to call a wholesale, I'm tired of being a landlord property, and then I'm going to call a pre-foreclosure, because you'll start getting a little bit confused, and your introduction within each phone call is going to change a little bit depending upon the situation. So get your game plan down so that you know what property types at that moment you're going to start calling on. So with the different property types, let's say that we're going to be calling homeowners that are tired of being a landlord, non-owner occupied. So in part of that game plan, knowing what property types is what's going to distinguish and tell us what our opening conversation is going to be, or what our opening is when we get the person on the phone. So now that we know what property types that we're going to go after on those cold calls, now we want to make sure that we understand what is our opening going to be when we answer the call. The opening when you're starting a phone call is the who you are, what you do, and why you're calling. But you have to be able to get to all of those, what I say is the 10-second rule. You can't take a minute to tell that to someone, because they're going to interrupt you at some point in time and they're going to want to know, are you selling me something? Okay, which is very important. I also, when I'm doing any type of cold calls, I usually always, my introduction my opening or introduction is always going to include, I'm not here to sell you anything, just want to let you know this is not a solicitation, I'm not trying to sell you anything. The who I am, Ryan Kuhlman from KI Properties. We buy properties in cash. We specialize in buying properties in Pembroke Pines, whatever maybe is the zip code that they live in or the subdivision that they're in. You can kind of pinpoint it a little bit to that to make them feel a little more special on that call. But get your opening or your introduction of the who, what, and the why. Now, also included in your game plan is your objective. Your objective is obviously to find out, number one, are they motivated or interested in possibly selling their property? Now, part of your opening or your introduction or part of your game plan overall could be that maybe you're going to call the homeowners to say, hey, listen, how about I give you a free property analysis? You want to know what your property is worth in this marketplace. And you could do that either A, tell them I'll call you back this afternoon, or I'll call you back in 24 hours to give you the free evaluation. Or B, you could also let them know I can come to the property and I can take pictures of the property to really give you that true evaluation of what it would cost to do any type of repairs or anything that's needed on the property, okay? So you can include that into your objective of finding out what their level of motivation is. Remember, having a motivated seller is the common element to every good deal. So you need to first, after you've given them the who you are, the what is the call about, and why you're calling, then you need to talk about the objective as far as getting their motivation levels. Find out if they're interested in getting a cash offer on their property. Now, motivation comes in a couple different places, okay? And we're going to be talking on the next episode more about that motivation and more about the research that you're going to do to prepare for the phone call on each individual property, because you might find out that they're behind on their taxes or something. There might be, or you might have actually driven, past the property and saw that they had a for rent sign on the property. They haven't been able to get a renter inside. Okay, and these are also things that we'll go through sort of a checklist of things that you can ask them to find their motivation as well. They might not just come out and tell you, yeah, I'm motivated to sell because I have a gambling problem. That might take a little bit of time, a little bit of massaging the conversation. So you want to get their motivation, and that's what your objective is. Your objective is finding out that they're motivated to sell, and then what is the objective? The end game is for me to come to the property, take the pictures, and then within 24 hours, I'll give you a cash offer on your property, because that's what really, truly, your true objective is. So to summarize, the first step in getting ready to do your cold calling is, number one, you want to get the phone numbers either through RIA Fax or TLO. Make sure you organize that. Make sure that you have the property address, the homeowner's information, and everything with the phone number, and a place for you to be able to make notes, because you want to make notes on the conversation. And the best way is obviously to record those conversations. Then you can go back and make the notes afterwards. And your game plan, okay? Decide at each time what property type. So if you're going to sit down and you're going to do tired of being a landlord, just do tired of being a landlord for that period of time you're going to be cold calling. Get your opening or your introduction down. Who you are, why you're calling, and what you can do for them, okay? That's really what the who, what, and why is all about, all right? And then the third is your objective, is finding out their level of motivation if they're interested in selling, or at least if they're interested in just getting an analysis on their property. A free market analysis on their property is something that, most homeowners, why would you turn that down? And you could always even ask them that. Why would you say no? It's free. I'm going to be spending, my time and energy and effort and money to analyze your property and give you a free analysis, market analysis of what I think your property would be worth. Okay, so that's the opening part of you doing your cold calls. Now, like I said, this is going to be a 3-part series. So in the next part of the series, it's going to be gathering that information, doing your first preliminary due diligence, and then actually making the phone call itself, okay? And then the third part of this series in 3 weeks, we'll be talking about the follow-up on these types of phone calls, because follow-up is very, very important. And now you know what time it is. Announcements. Okay, so first and foremost, the IMN conference is this week. Tuesday, I believe it goes all the way to Thursday. Don't quote me on that. The IMN conference is something that Anish and I go to every single year. Now, we get special invites. I think the tickets are up to like $2,500, so it is expensive. But if you're looking to talk to any type of hedge funds or some of the largest buyers in the United States, the IMN conference at the Miami Lowe's Hotel in Miami Beach, it's a really good convention that we go to every single year. Also, coming up June 5th and 6th, the BREIA and MiamiDadeREIA meetings. Of course, our MiamiDadeREIA, the MiamiDade chapter, gets together on the first Tuesday of the month. The Broward chapter, BREIA, gets together on the first Wednesday of the month. So coming up on June the 5th, Tuesday, at the Miami Pullman Hotel, the MiamiDade meeting, doors open at 6 o'clock. We're going to have Joe Varnador from Notes School. Joe has been back by popular demand almost every single year for like the last 6 years that they have been speaking at our club. And he's going to be talking about buying and selling notes, performing and non-performing notes as well. So you can utilize this in real estate and real estate investing to not only build your portfolio, but you could also pick up wholesale deals, sometimes upwards of 70% discount. Okay, so that's going to be buying, performing and non-performing notes. Joe will be speaking at the MiamiDade meeting on Tuesday, June the 5th, and he'll be at Broward at the Signature Grand, doors open at 5:30 on June the 6th on Wednesday. So that's Joe Varnador from Notes School. If you want to learn how to buy and sell performing or non-performing notes, don't miss one of those meetings. All right, boys and girls, well, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today's Get You Moving Monday. I hope I got you moving on some cold calls. Today, you learned a little bit about getting set up. Next time, we're going to talk about actually making those cold calls and the art of that negotiation. And then the last part of this three-part series is going to be following up on those cold calls. Remember that for any upcoming events, you can always go to BREIA.com or MiamiDadeREIA.org. Give us a like on our Facebook pages for both the Broward and the Miami-Dade Real Estate Investors Association. Follow us on YouTube. And remember, every day is a new opportunity for your success.